All right, I'm gonna make a video today. As my little video thumbnail shows, did I break my car? Well, the answer is I could have. Um, Today I'm gonna just talk about what has happened, what could have, what possibly could be, and I'm going to dive into that here to just talk about my car is tuned, and it's tuned to 500, close to 500 horsepower at the motor, and 513 pounds foot. How do they say that? Of torque, which is called torque. Um, so with that, I'm just going to go over and talk about what happened first to find out, if I think I damaged my car. So I was in Euless today and working on a job, and I was coming back, and to make this long story short, there's a big long stretch of road that's a safe road, and I can really get on it. And if I time the traffic right, I've got a full mile and a half that I can just romp on the car. So my intentions were going, 10 miles an hour all the way up to 140, and I did achieve that. So the last time that I was doing that, I did have a successful run, and I was data logging too. Imagine that at the same time. So it was really beneficial to data log, because I caught the potential error, or potential damage to the car, or something that needs to be looked at and dealt with. But so I did have one successful run of I think it was second gear all the way up to 140. So that was maybe into fifth gear. Everything went really well. But then after that, I came back the other direction, and it was about maybe 7 to 8 minutes, because I had to go through overpasses and underpasses to get back to come down the other side of the road, because there's no easy way to get off and easy way to get on. Hence, not a lot of police hanging around there running radar. So I was coming back, and I got to remember, because I've already seen my logs, and I had to make sure I'm telling you the right gear I'm in. So I was in second gear. I was going to be in first gear, and I was kind of stepped on it and got some wheel spin. So I was like, get out of that. I don't really want to have a data log with just wheel spin. So then I bumped up to second gear. So I was probably in the mid 20 mile per hour at that point. And so I got on it, and I went into 100% throttle, and to make sure I try to get this point across quickly. And then so I went second gear, third gear, fourth gear, and the log will show that, that I was 100% throttle. And when I got into fourth gear, the car, it's like the car jumped out of gear. Really technical with this transmission and the torque converter and the computer controlling all this. So it felt like it jumped out of gear, but it didn't over rev after that. It wasn't like I've had transmissions break in cars where you're on the gas and then it just goes and revs up. It just kind of fell on its face, and really gave me a kind of a big jolt, because when you're under power and then all of a sudden the power just drops off, it's kind of violent, to a degree. And so, it's like, holy cow, what is going on? And so after that, I just coasted, clicked up into higher gears, and the engine light was coming on. The engine light had come on, and I was like, this isn't going to be good. And obviously, just to tell you, the car went into, obviously went into limp mode. It drove just fine to go home. You couldn't hammer on it, which is good, because the car protects itself. So I'm just going to look at some information and show you. I want to be transparent, and the car is tuned, and I went into when I came back, I drove home, and I was pretty safe. It drove fine, just you couldn't really get on it, which is good. So here I've got my data zap pulled up, and this is the run that the third run. It's not the second run; it was the third run. And so here I logged some key parameters, but I missed one. I don't know why I missed it, but I didn't log RPMs, and RPMs is beneficial to see, but I've got accelerator pedal percentage load. So to tell you what that is, and so this was the whole run. This was me leading up and waiting for the cars to go by, and then me have a long way to just nail the throttle and get going really, really fast. Here's where I was in a gear, first gear, I think, and then it started to stumble, and I was like, hey, get out of that second gear, and then shifted up and got back into a 1% throttle is 100%. So as you can see, 40, 75, 30, 21 is the, percent throttle. So you can look at it like 30%, 40%, 50, 60, 100%. So there I've got a map I can log and I can go in and see, because it's very confusing trying to figure out all this information later that night or next week. So I've got it all here, right in front of me, and I can use it, and my tuner is going to use this when I take it to them. I've already been in contact with him, and he's out of town, but the shop is there, but they rely on their tuner to deal with this stuff. So I keep looking over at my picture, but I'm looking at my cameras right there. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab shift, and then I'm gonna grab more of the area so that it zooms in on it, so that it magnifies it. So I'm just going to go over this real quick because this could be helpful for a lot of people. I've got my AFR, because the AFR is such a low number, and it's like 14, 13, 14, 10, 11, 12, and that number on the throttle is so much higher, it drops that really far down. But as you move through the timeline, this is through space and time, from the left to the right is moving, 12:01, 12:02, 12:03, to 1 o'clock p.m., so that you're moving in time. So that's just helpful to know. So you can see it just cruising around off the throttle. It's at AFR 20, because it's not using any throttle. The proper AFR bound, I don't know why I keep scratching my shoulder, is 14.7 something. But from what I have researched, and I'll try to get this out quick because I go slow, that when you're under a throttle, you want to add more gas to the intake, because that helps cool it, and it's also a lubrication, and it also just makes it safer. So you want to, when you're on the throttle, when you're just cruising around for gas mileage, I mean, you could be at 14.7 or 15, and you'll get good fuel economy because it's a perfect burn. But when you're at full throttle, you want to run, from my understanding, a 10 or 11 AFR, which means that you have more fuel being put in per air, so you're actually cooling the cylinders down. So this just quick explanation. As I start to get on the throttle, 1%. So down here, I can't get my arm up, but if you look at the black box, and then you can see that when it jumps to 1, that I'm full throttle. So then you go up here to your AFR. I'm starting to get on the throttle in the orange, and it goes to 12 to 13, 14. So it's running, because I'm not heavy on the throttle, but then when I really get into the throttle, it jumps down from 12 to 11, and then it sees some mid-10s, 11, 10s, 11s, all the way through. And so that's why I'm really heavy on the throttle. So AFR is really good to log. There's a calibrated AFR, an average AFR, where you take both throttle bodies, or you can monitor both of them at the same time, but the average AFR is averaging both of them. So it's just different ways to look at it. And I have the average calibrated, and the average calibrated is either the car's computer is giving you the information, or the race ROM software is giving you the calibrated, from what I understand. So, but moving forward, and then I've got some key parameters that you want to log to be able to know where you are and what the car's doing. So you want to run, we're going to get rid of AFR. Click, why is it not going away? Okay. And then you want to have current gear. This shows you, where the car is changing gears. So that's in the magenta color there. So second gear, third gear, and then it jumps into fourth gear. And obviously this is in this area right here is where I start having that issue where the car surged, cut out, cut off. I mean, so abruptly. And then I aborted the run, and then the engine light came on. So I'm going to leave that up there. I think that stays up there. So it was into fourth gear and not into fifth gear. So then I've got, and another cool thing that you can see, and there's a bunch of different boost parameters that you can monitor. So this is boost bank 1 and boost bank 2. So something that I wasn't expecting, we think we're when we're not in boost, it's very, very low. And when we are in boost, per the turbo on a certain car, you're in the 19, 20 to 23. We wouldn't think that you're in the 30s and 40s because you see race cars that are running 40 and 60. And I think it's a different thing that we're looking at here. But on my run, when I'm at 1% throttle, so that's 100% throttle, it's showing me that I'm in the, it starts, 100% starts right there, 89, 1%. So 26 PSI, if I'm reading this right, and it jumps, from 35, 36, 37, and it goes up to 38 as we're moving through the time here. But from what I've seen online, this is not anything that's not normal. Someone would say, you're running 35 pounds of boost in your car, you're going to blow it up, you're destroying it. Well, I don't think this is the same thing that we're talking about. Like, when you say a safe tune and you're saying 18, 19, 20 PSI, I think this is just in a whole another area, and this is where I need to learn more. But I think this is as normal as I've seen this with some other people documenting their data logs. So 35, and you can see the gear changes. I guess the gear change comes before the gear change. So we see the distance between here and the upshift to third gear. And then we see, people call that a boost spike, I guess, or a shift. And then we jump up into fourth gear shortly after that. And you get a dip and you get a drop. So at that peak, it's at 47 or 40 pounds. So, and then when I start running into this, the area where it cut out, it's at 38, and then it drops down really, really quickly. And that's where I'm like, oh shit. And I get out of the throttle. Okay. So with that said, and these are all really key, cool parameters to see. And this is going to be key, essential information for my tuner to see. I didn't log fuel trims, and I didn't log some things that might be helpful to him, but at least this is something that he can look at and tell, maybe what happened and what he needs to change. And, hopefully I didn't damage the car, but I might have. But the car is running okay now, and I'll go into that in more detail. But we're going to close out boost bank 1, boost bank 2. We got a boost target, and then so there's some discrepancy here that makes more sense to my tuner. Is the green is always, you can see in the black box right there that moves with my mouse cursor as we move down the timeline. You can see boost target is what the car's computer is requesting per the throttle input. So it's requesting 36, 35, and it it mirrors what boost bank 1 and boost bank 2 and boost target. So it's trying to hit that boost target. So my boost target keeps staying at 36, 36, but my boost in bank 1 and bank 2 drops down really, really quickly. So I don't know what happened there. I could even have a boost leak. Who knows? One of my things could have popped off, and I actually might go check that out tonight and make sure those are functioning and tight. All my clamps are tight. It could have been on my air box. Who knows? But yeah, so we're gonna get out of boost bank 1 and boost target. Charge air coolant pump duty. That's kind of something I just thought I would log and see how that worked. Before I got on the throttle, at 1% is right here. And I'm starting to roll on, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 up to the 1%. So I'm at 40 when I'm just cruising around, 40 charge air coolant pump duty. So it's functioning at 40%. And then when I start to really get into the meat of it, it's at 80, and I don't know why it didn't jump up to 100. But yeah, so I mean, and there's, I think, like 100 different parameters that you can log. So, and then we've got coolant, exhaust temp, and there's like 3 or 4 different exhaust temps. So this may not have been as helpful to me because I'm used to looking at degrees. And so this manages my exhaust temps, but maybe because of the F there in the box is Fahrenheit. No, I mean, if it was Fahrenheit, then it would be in the thousands. So I don't know what 146 and 144 as you move through the timeline, it's staying about equal. So I don't know what's going on there. So maybe that tuner can make more sense and find out that helpful information. But then I've got ignition timing here, and that'll be in the yellow. So we've got the throttle input, and we've got the current gear, so we can monitor ignition timing. So when I'm not on the throttle, I'm at 0.6. So that's not even 10% throttle. It's at negative 1.5. So that's not a concern. So when I start going in second gear and start climbing up to 70% throttle, 70% throttle up to 60, and then I get out of it because I get a little bit of a wheel spin, and then I jump back into it and hit 1%. I'm at positive 2.4 ignition time, and it goes up to 4. And then I think I'm getting ready for the gear shift, and then it drops back down to 2.5, and then it increases as the car pulls, and then jumps back up to 4. So I think that's all good. But when I get closer to that area, the ignition timing drops down to 2.5, but it's not in a negative range, so I don't think this is anything harmful. Another thing, let me see, I got my vehicle speed. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool too. So I can see my vehicle speed. So when I started out, I was at 20 miles per hour, and then I started jumping up to 22, 26, 29, 30 pretty quickly. I started getting a little bit of wheel spin. I let off, and then I got back in it, as we can see by my throttle accelerator. So the very top, what that light sky blue, or the very top parameter says 43%, 89%, and then 1. So it went down to 1 or 40, 227, 31%, 59%, 70, and I almost nailed it to get full throttle, but then I was like, man, I'm gonna get wheel spin. So then I got off, and it's dropping down 46, 43, and then I immediately got back in it when I noticed I get away without wheel spin. So I hit full 100% throttle right there. So, and that's and my speed at that point was 35 miles an hour all the way up to 93 miles an hour, and that's again where I had the hiccup. So we can get out of ignition timing, but ignition timing looks good. I've got knock retard, and that'll be in the very, very center where it's staying at 0. That will go into the negatives when you start getting the retarding of the knock sensor. And so at this point, it starts to get into the 1 and the 2s, and that could be an issue. 3 is when you start needing to be concerned, 3 and 4. 2 is still okay, and 1.9, 1.8, 1.7, 1.6, and then I think that's where I have the hiccup, and then it drops down from there, and then it hangs because you're not on a wide open throttle anymore. So this is cool information to know. So knock retard, mass airflow. I think that's mass airflow 1% load. Now, I don't really know how to read that, but what that 1% load. But my tuner obviously might be able to use that. I don't know why I selected that. But vehicle speed, and then I've got some really helpful information that I'm going to try to log in the future and get more information on. I've got a bunch of wastegate operation parameters. So you can see wastegate, I've got them all checked, and there were maybe a couple more, and I didn't select those, but we're going to go to current gear. We're going to get rid of accelerator position, and we're going to leave gear open. Let me see what else I can drop down and get rid of. Vehicle speed. Mass Bank. Okay, so here we have, let's see, gears, current gear. Yeah, we've got the four wastegates open, and in the red in the top is the gear shift. So it says two right there, and then it shifts to three right there, and then it shifts to four right there. So you can see the wastegate opening before the shift, and then you can see all these cool things happen with your wastegates as it begins to shift and the wastegates open. I think there's something to do with the voltage and the positioning sensor of that, but you can see when I'll do more research on this to find out, during the shifts and the spikes, if the wastegate's opening to release some of that pressure versus you needing blow off valves. And oh, you don't have blow off valves, you're going to tear your car up. Or the other part of the people that say having blow off valves, oh, it's not good because you're releasing this boost pressure and the car is trying to adjust the fuel to that boost pressure and you just dumped it all. And so the car's guessing and it's guessing incorrectly. There's two ways to look at the wastegates or the blow-off valves. Is it hurting your car or helpful for your car? It really needs it, or it doesn't need it, or it's okay and it's just for sound. So I haven't made up my mind yet, but I'm going to find out. I've read intelligent people talk possibly about it in either direction. So I've got my wastegates there. I'm going to go ahead and turn those off. So I'm going to turn both of my logs in where I had this stumbling problem, and I had a really healthy run in the center, then the car didn't struggle. So I don't know, but the last run is when the engine warning light came on, and obviously the car went into limp mode, but it was driving just fine. So, and I drove the car to the store to go eat, and it is driving fine, but I'm definitely not going to drive the car hard again until I get this situation resolved, because I do not want this happening again. But see how key and important data logging is? And I think it's the coolest thing ever and can be very, very helpful information to have all this. And then it's just key. So, but when I'm going to get out of this, I think I can get out of this now. And I'm going to show you the next part I can get through real quick. Is the data logging device, and how cool it is that you've got your phone, you've got your dongle or your cable hooked up to your dongle and the OBD2 port reader, and so you're reading these parameters real time. So obviously my car threw a code or multiple codes, and so I went to Joe-Tech and they were like, well, just pull up your DTC codes and let's see what happened. So I went in there and I pulled up the initial code reader, and this is what it gave me. So the ECM is the car's computer side of it aspect. The TCM, from what I got, my quick understanding was that this is the transmission. So I think it's more of a transmission problem, but yet there was a little concern with this because if I remember correctly, you can click where my mouse is right here. You're going to follow my mouse pointer. So I'm on the ECM. You can then click in your phone. You can click on that and it'll tell you more about what those codes are and what they mean. And I didn't screenshot this code right here for the ECM, but I think I remember it said overboosting or something similar to that. So, that's a no-no. So I'm not real sure about that. But I think I sent that to my tuner, and he did get that screenshot. And then the TCM is the transmission, and the transmission people go, it's such a horrible transmission, but it's a very technical transmission. It's got gosh, now I'm drawing a blank. The not limited slip, torque converter, and it's all controlled by the computer, and it has all kinds of ways to protect itself. And a torque converter has fluid oil in it, and turbo vanes. It's incredibly intricate. And so the transmission can throw, I don't know if 32 is the max amount of codes, but the guy that works behind the counter and kind of helps run the shop, but is not the tuner, said, man, it kind of could be the possibility that your transmission just wasn't happy it saw a problem and it wanted to throw a bunch of codes. And in that process of trying to shut the car down so it wouldn't damage itself. So, so you can see all these. So I did record, and I just wish I would have recorded that one, because if it didn't get to him, that's going to be a miss. But so we're going to close that down, and these are the screenshots of the different codes for the transmission that got thrown, which it seems like a lot. So those are all the codes. Now, if he has to go through every one of those codes, I think it just threw everything at the car, or at the engine warning, to just say, shut it down, no more power for you. So those were the codes. If someone can make sense of this and has had this happen, or someone knows more about the codes and tuning, chime in. I'm open. I'm an open book. So those were the codes that were thrown. There were two major codes from two different parts of the car. One, the transmission was the bulk of it, but the over boosting, I hope I caught that, but it didn't. That didn't look good. So car drives fine, so I don't know if it's hurt or not. Now, hopefully, I wouldn't think it is, but it probably wasn't good. So with that said, I'm going to, man, can't move that. So I think it's really, really key to be data logging. So that'll be very helpful. But I just wanted to share my experience with my car. I'm tuned, and it's tuned to a large number. I think 500 horsepower and 500 plus torque is a lot of power, for typical driving, cars. It's not a high performance car. I think that's a lot of power. So we need to just share our experiences and try to help each other out. And that's kind of why I'm making this video. It's not all peaches and cream and and tulips and roses and everything's super grand, but hopefully nothing was damaged, and that might be a horrible thing. I mean, tulips and roses. Okay, but yeah. So with that said, thanks for tuning in, and if this is helpful to anyone, please share any comments. I'm not going to get offended. Just be polite, and not be super critical, and maybe we can help each other out. And then I'll post information that I find out to correct this, or if something bad happened to the car, or we'll go from there. So thanks for tuning in. It's Tuesday night here, so I'll say good night to everyone, and I'll talk to you again. Thanks.